Welcome and thank you for joining. We are starting the unit of linear relations, and our first lesson will be on an introduction to Cartesian plane. Cartesian plane is developed by René Descartes, and it is named after his last name, as you can see. The Cartesian coordinate system allows us to locate a point by using the coordinates of it on a coordinate grid by using simply two perpendicular lines, the x and the y-axis. The x-axis is the horizontal line, whereas the y-axis is the vertical line. The origin is where the horizontal line, or the x-axis, intersects the vertical line, or the y-axis. So as you can see here, this is the grid, and this is the horizontal, and this is the vertical axis. They intersect at the origin. The coordinates will indicate the location of a point on the Cartesian plane. An ordered pair is made of two numbers that are separated by a comma inside a set of brackets. I always remember that the first coordinate represents the x coordinate and the second one represents the y coordinate. So they go in the same order as on the alphabet. Now the x-intercept is the point where the line intersects the x-axis. The y-intercept is where the line intersects the y-axis. Any line drawn on the Cartesian plane can be described as a horizontal line, which is parallel to the x-axis, or a vertical line, which is parallel to the y-axis, or as a diagonal line that intersects both axes. The x and the y-axis divide the Cartesian plane into four quadrants. So let's take a look and name each part of the Cartesian plane. Now, we're going to start off with the x-axis. So the x-axis is the horizontal line. So it's the line. It stretches at both ends, negative infinity to positive infinity, and it's a horizontal line. The y-axis is the vertical line. The origin is where the x and the y meet each other. The coordinate plane is made of this grid and the horizontal and vertical axis with the origin. Now, the x and the y-axis will divide the coordinate grid into four quadrants. This one here will be quadrant 1. This one here is quadrant 2. This one here is quadrant 3. And the last one is quadrant 4. So when we number the quadrants, we go counterclockwise. In quadrant 1, we say that the x and the y values are positive. In quadrant 2, the x values are negative, the y values are positive. In quadrant 3, both x and y are negative. And in quadrant 4, the x values are positive and the y values are negative. Now, a point on the Cartesian plane can be located anywhere on the grid, and to find the coordinates of a point, we simply drop a perpendicular on the x-axis that would tell us what the x-coordinate of the point is, and a perpendicular on the y-axis, which would tell us what the y-coordinate of a point is. So in this case, then we can say that the x-coordinate is -3 and the y-coordinate is equal to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, positive 8. Now, in order to describe the coordinates of a point, we use what we call the ordered pair. For example, a point with coordinates 5 and -9 will have the x-coordinate of 5 and the y-coordinate of -9. So to plot the coordinates of this point, we go first at x equals 5. This is x equals 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we go down to the y-axis and we count 9 units in the negatives. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the point with coordinates x equals +5 and y equals -9 will be somewhere here in quadrant 4. Now, next, we're going to talk about the x and the y-intercept. So the x-intercept is where a line intersects the x-axis. So as you can see here, this line intersects the x-axis at this very point. This line here intersects the x-axis at this point. And this line here does not intersect the x-axis. Now, the y-intercept is where the line intersects the y-axis. So in this case, as you can see here, we have the y-intercept at about y equals 3. Now, the types of lines that we discuss on the Cartesian plane are the lines that are vertical. Vertical lines are parallel to vertical axis. Lines that are horizontal. Horizontal lines are parallel to the x-axis. And lastly, we have the diagonal lines, which will cross both the x and the y-axis. Now, we're going to take a look at how to plot points on the Cartesian plane. Example 1. So we are given the coordinates of the points A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and J. So in order to plot the coordinates, we are going to first identify the x and the y. So for the point A, x is 1 and y is 2. So first we start with the x-axis and we locate the point where x equals 1. And then we are going to go on the y-axis and locate where y equals 2. So if x equals 1 and y equals 2, then the location of the point will be right here. So this would be the point A with coordinates 1 and 2. Now, point B will have the coordinates 4 and negative 2. So we go to x equals 4, and then we go down 2 because we are at y equals negative 2. So this would be the point B with coordinates 4 and negative 2. Next, we have the point C with coordinates 0, negative 3. So that means x is 0, y is negative 3. So x equals 0 at the origin, y is negative 3 down on the y-axis. That tells us that the point T will be on the y-axis. Next, we have the point E. The coordinates of E are negative 1 and 3. So that means that x is negative 1 and y is 3. Sorry, I skipped a point. We're going to go back here. So when x equals negative 1, we are landing right here. And y positive 3 means that we are landing up here. So that would make the coordinates of point, or the point E will be located in quadrant 2, coordinates negative 1 and 3. Point D has coordinates 3 and negative 3. So x is 3 and y is negative 3. So we're going to go to x equals 3. Y negative 3 is down here. So these two coordinates will connect at this point. So we're going to say that these are the coordinates of the point T, 3 and negative 3, so in quadrant 4. Next we have F, and you can stop the video and try to do this on your own. So negative 2, negative 1, that means x is negative 2 and y is negative 1. So the point F will be located right here, negative 2, negative 1. Point G has coordinates x equals 2 and y equals 0. So x equals 2 is right here, y equals 0 is right here, which means that 2 and 0 will be meeting at this very point. So this would be G with coordinates 2 and 0. Point H has coordinates 0 and 0. So that means that must be the origin. And lastly, we have point J with coordinates 2.5 and 1. So x equals 2.5, 1.5 will be here. Y equals 1 will be a unit higher. So that would be the point J with coordinates 2.5, 1. So next, we have to identify the coordinates of the points that are plotted on the Cartesian plane. So I will start with the points in order. So step number 1, we have to locate where the point is. To find the x-coordinate, you drop a perpendicular on the x-axis and you read the coordinate. So the x-coordinate of A is negative 6. For the y-coordinate, from point A, you drop a perpendicular on the y-axis and you see that you hit the y-axis at y equals 1. So therefore, the coordinates of point A are negative 6 and positive 1. Next, we have the point B. The point B has the x-coordinate at negative 2. we cannot drop a perpendicular because we are on the x-axis. For the y-coordinate, we drop a perpendicular on the y-axis, and we see that we hit the y-axis at 0. So therefore, the coordinates of point B are -2 and 0. Point C. So for point C, we're going to drop a perpendicular on the x-axis. We see that we hit the x-axis at -2, and a perpendicular on the y-axis. We hit the y-axis at -2. Therefore, point C has the coordinates -2, -2. Next, point D. Point D is on the y-axis. If you drop a perpendicular on the x-axis to figure out the x-coordinate, you see that we hit the x-axis at 0. That means that the x-coordinate of point D is 0. The y-coordinate will be exactly 3 because the point D is on the y-axis at y equals 3. Point E. So E has the x-coordinate 2, the y-coordinate 1, so 2 and 1. Point F. So F has the x-coordinate 2, the y-coordinate -2, so 2, -2. Point G. Point G has the x1, y -4, so 1, -4. And point H has the coordinates 4 and 3, so x equals 4, y equals 3. I hope this was helpful and it helped you understand how to both plot the points and locate or find the coordinates of a point on a Cartesian plane. In the next video, we'll continue with the equation of a line. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.